I actually was born in Tucson, Arizona, and then shortly after I was born, my parents moved me and my half brother up to Prescott Valley, which is right in the middle of the state. It's a good part of the state where we have 70-degree summers, sometimes hitting into the 80s and 90s, and then our winters only get down to 30. It's like the perfect climate for everyone. So it was glorious. I grew up there for 14 years. My parents divorced when I was 3, and then my dad remarried again when I was 7. So I kind of grew up in this going to mom's house on the weekend and then being at dad's house the rest of the week. My mom, if I was to describe her, she was someone who needed people but did much better on her own, and her life was much more about herself. So going to my mom's wasn't very fun because I'd go to her house and then we'd go to the nail salon for 3 hours. And she'd be like, oh, I'm so glad I had to spend this time for you. And then drive me back to my dad's house and drop me off because she had things to do. Or would be going up to Reno for the weekend. So there were good times. She bought us a lot of things, like we had Xbox to play and all this stuff. But then, like I said, I moved from Arizona to Missouri when I was 14. And there's this conversation I had with my mom where it was like 2 days before my 14th birthday. My mom calls me like, hey, I worked everything out with my boyfriend, landlord. You can come live with us. We're in this small mining town. It's a small school. It'll be really great for you. And my mom was a Christian. My dad was. I just knew that I needed to stay in my dad's house. I was like, I'm moving with my dad. And my mom says, if you move to Missouri, then I'm done with you. So, true to her word, for the next 2 years, I didn't talk to her. She didn't try to talk to me. Part of the whole divorced parents thing is when you move a long distance, you kind of have to work that out with the courts, how visiting rights and all that are going to happen. How the courts had it worked out was that my mom would pay for me to go out there and my parents would pay for me to come back. I was supposed to stay the summers with them or with my mom and then come back to Missouri for the school year. My mom never paid for me to go out there. So she would send birthday emails with little kind of e-cards, those ones that you look up. So there's this sort of like rejection. At the same time, I feel called to ministry. I'm starting to get involved in my church. I preached my first sermon actually when I was 15 at a small church in Missouri under the leadership of Michael Haldeman, who'd been doing ministry for like 40 years, which is crazy. So there, I'm beginning ministry, beginning super involved. People are patting me on the back because I'm doing ministry. I begin dating. I date this girl for three years. Around the 3rd year, I move up here to go to school, and still doing ministry, still super involved, still getting pats on the back. Oh, you're going to Bible college, to become a pastor, and all of these things. And then that goes south, dating, and she ends up breaking up with me in my freshman year. That was really tough, and that, once again, experiencing that sort of rejection. So I began to get more involved in ministry. I actually began to lead ministry teams at the school, doing so super well that I took a group that averaged around 10 people. It was a street evangelism group, which means we go out Friday nights when it's probably the coldest in Minnesota, sometimes dropping below 0, and we take groups of college students out. And this group, before I let it, averaged about 10 people during the winter. We got 10 people to go out. That was super cool. I brought that average up to 30 because I just put in so much hard work. I was marketing, I was talking to people, I was building teams, I was doing all this stuff. And this high pedigree of having already done ministry work for 3 years before getting to college. So I knew what I was doing and was learning what I was doing. And I just was throwing myself at this. And then I take this next step. The next year, I'm actually leading all of the outreach teams. So not just the street evangelism team. I'm in charge of this women's ministry team. I'm in charge of a sex traffic awareness group. I'm in charge of. There's one other group I was in charge of that I'm forgetting right now. But I was in charge of all these different groups, and just once again threw myself into ministry. And people were patting me on the back because, oh, look at all these great things you're doing. Like, you must never have problems speaking in front of people. Oh, like you must be so great. Like just hearing that echo over and over again from all these people. Look at all these things you're doing. You must be so great. You must be so great. And then I interview again, because you have to interview every year for these positions, this last spring. And I get turned down for the position. They say, sorry, you're not what we're looking for the team that we're building. You don't fit in with the group that we're building. And so I'm like, okay, that's them. That's, I'm great. I'm cool doing all that stuff. Enter to this summer where I'm staying in Minneapolis once again, living here this summer. And I'm working here at the coffee shop. It's great, but I'm working enough that I'm not going to any of the connection groups. I'm not really involved with the church aside from showing up on Sundays. And everyone from my friend group had left. So this summer I spent probably 80% of my time alone. And through this echo of being rejected in different ways, I enter into this period where I'm finally forced to face myself and kind of come to terms with, wow, I really don't like me. And that was rough. That was a really rough time. I'm just I don't like myself. So the summer goes on, and I begin thinking, well, you kind of deserve not to get that leadership position because you're such a crappy person. And that kind of just built, well, you're alone so much because you're such a crappy person. And this turned into depression where I'm sleeping when I'm tired, I'm awake when I'm not, I'm eating when I'm tired, when I'm hungry, and I'm not when I'm not. So this summer, much of it was a blur because if I wasn't at work, I was sleeping or playing video games or sleeping, and it didn't matter when. So then school year starts, and I think, oh good, all my friends are returning, and it's gonna be great. I'm gonna feel loved again, all that stuff. And I feel this great sense of disconnect. I'm in a room full of people that I know love me and I love and I think is great. And I feel like I'm not supposed to be there. So finally, just being raw and honest, there's this moment early school where I'm just like, God, if you don't take me out, I will. That scared me enough that I was like, wow, I need help. So I went to counseling. The school provides free counseling, which really great, because otherwise I wouldn't have gone. But so begin to go in counseling, and then just through that and begin to encourage talking to friends. And through this process, encourage, okay, I'm actually talking with Deshan, who goes to Uptown recently, and she's like, why don't you like yourself? And I'm trying to, come with this litany of reasons. And I'm like, well, even if I can't come up with a reason why I don't like myself, I can't think of a reason why I do like myself. And I'm just encouraged to look at myself and see the things that I do like. And I've come to terms, I actually think I'm intelligent, and that's kind of great. And a little bit clever, even though it gets me in trouble. I think that's kind of good. I think I'm a caring person. And I don't think that's an accident. I think more than that, something that I've really learned, and I was sharing this with Scott when I finally felt comfortable enough to sit down and have this whole conversation of this journey I've been going through this past year, was that there's this idea of community, and a lot of times we think of community as all these people getting together. I had this kind of aha moment, and it may seem kind of counterintuitive, but community doesn't happen without the individual. Everyone who's in this room, everyone who's going to be in the next few services, who will be in the connections that you're a part of, or maybe even just the other places you're involved, you as an individual are needed for that community to exist. That community will not be the same when you're not there, and you are necessary for community to happen. The individual is necessary for there to be community.
It's okay.
So, and then, yeah, this was just like this idea is like the individual is important, and kind of seeing that, okay, seeing that God loves me, that people love me, and that like I actually love me, and it really kind of came to this idea of community, because it wasn't until I started talking to people that I started healing and seeing how God saw me, because I had people pouring into me and showing me care. So thanks for letting me share.